Bri, where do we start with this one? Maybe the single worst game in the current, if we consider 2015, 2015, would you say it's like the worst important game that they've ever played?
It feels like it. I mean, you see the hat on I have right now. I was hoping that there would be something to change the channel to, but the Giants played an afternoon game.
Yeah, I got to watch them win. They
I
kicked
saw that too.
Colorado's butt.
Yeah.
So there's things that you can actually learn from games like this, and I'm not saying that I studied the last second half. I didn't watch it that closely because it was frustrating. Just not quite as frustrating, but frustrating with worse players. Um, but I do think that there's something to see when it comes to a team getting beat like they were getting beat. I thought Kuminga definitely tried. He wanted to get a few. He wanted to play well. Damian Lee knocked down a few shots. So that was nice to see. Moody's always going to play hard. But you also see stuff like JTA just doesn't fit in a series like this. He doesn't really have a role in a game like this where it's very much outside, lots of perimeter play. He's just kind of like, I have no idea what I can do in series. So, but otherwise, if we look at the first, I guess the starters left the game with 7 minutes left in the second half or so ish around there. So if 29 minutes or so, that I can't remember a Clay, Steph, and Draymond team playing any worse than they played. Some of that was Memphis. A lot of that was them.
I think you could say a good amount of it was Memphis too. They came out and they weren't missing. It was just like the Warriors in like game 3. Memphis was just offensively there tonight, and the Warriors were offensively and defensively missing. It was just
no, keep going.
I'm just saying, like, to end it, it was just like it just doesn't go well together.
Okay. I think if who knows if they watch the tape, I'm sure the coaches watch tape. What you're going to see is light closeouts, like not closing out to defend the three. And some of that is, if you close out too hard, then they can go right by you. But Steph in particular, doing a lot of waving the hand in the air rather than actually closing out. Jordan Poole, I don't think it was as much of an effort issue with him today as it was other things, but similarly, him closing out. Clay kind of cheating and then getting caught cheating and then getting beat out in the perimeter. I think some of it is great shooting. They still have to make those shots, but man, the Warriors' perimeter defensive play was about as porous as you'll see it. And maybe that's just who they are now because of Clay's inability. He's still not that far off from the injury, but he looked really slow. Jordan Poole looked like Jordan Poole, but he's a major point that I have to talk about, so we'll save him for a second. So point one here for me, starting slow, then add to the slow start a lack of urgency when they got behind. It was almost like they were like, we've been here before. Well, we're going to get it back. And that lack of urgency played right into Memphis's hands because Memphis played this game like what they were supposed to play, which was, win or go home, right? They didn't want to be gone fishing on TNT.
Mm-hmm.
And the Warriors didn't play like that. The Warriors didn't play like that at all. The Warriors played like, we got another game.
Yeah.
And like as a fan, it's so frustrating. But to some extent, I do wonder if because of the length of the playoffs and they're a little older, they kind of look at it as, do we empty our tank in a game that we probably lose, or do we save some of that for game 6 in our own house at home? But, the starting slow thing has become a major problem with them. And it's just kind of weird to me that, let's just start the game like we always start. We're going to run the offense and we're going to look for an open shot. Clay's going to end up taking a long shot and brick it. and the other team's going to go down, and they're going to score. Then we come back. It's like I would love to see them go. Okay, first possession, Curry Jeremy on pick and roll. Like let's do like right away to show the other team like we're going to go out and win this game. But they started so slow and so lackadaisical, so unimportant almost. It's like, oh yeah, this is kind of we need to work up a sweat. And it's like, come on, guys, this is a closeout game. Memphis is playing like a team that knows that there is no tomorrow. And I don't know, that was frustrating to watch, but it has been like the issue with this series, right? Like the Warriors have started slow, I think, in every game, maybe except for the first game.
I mean, I think Obi asked me, like, have they won a half? Like the first half? Have they won the first half in any of
I
these?
think
Maybe
in
game 3?
maybe I think in game 1 they won the first half, but it may have been close.
Okay.
Um, but it's just like, that first quarter, it's almost like they wait to get behind by 10 and then, and then they start playing, and today just
Mhm.
wasn't good enough for them.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. To me, it felt like they came out like they boat raced them the game before. Memphis or it was only what? It was they didn't win by maybe they were a Jaren Jackson 3-pointer away from
Yeah.
this game being tied or won from the last game, but it seemed like they came out and like, oh, we don't need to change anything. We beat this team by 30 the night before or 2 nights ago. But like it just seemed like they did not make any adjustments to a game they already almost lost, and then Memphis made adjustments. Are you ready to go on your Steven Adams apology tour yet?
I mean, he didn't do it. I mean,
He definitely is effective. I
uh,
wouldn't say he's like some key. I don't know how key he is, but like the size is definitely like putting that smaller lineup, especially when Otto maybe isn't feeling it in the foot and Wiggins
mhm.
didn't feel as aggressive on the rebounding end as he has been all series. Like, that's almost key for that Warriors small lineup to like compete with a Steven Adams big lineup, but maybe that's not there every night because they're 5 inches smaller. So
I just watch him and I see him fumble easy passes, and I see him um miss easy layups, and I'm just like, they're lucky that they were winning by so much because it was okay for him to play that way. I mean, dude was 2 for 7 shooting. He did have 13 rebounds, but
how is Steph still not taking advantage of a switch?
well, you know what happens, and I was looking at this pretty closely. So when Adam switches on to him, what happens is Jaren Jackson cheats over.
Mhm.
So he gets by Adams, and then Jaren Jackson comes over swarming, and then that makes Steph sort of change his shot or pass it out. And so I kind of wonder if they can figure out how to get maybe Clay or Poole on Jackson when they run that pick and roll. So when Jackson kind of cheats over, he's cheating over to open up something for a shooter. I think that would be an interesting way to play that. But yeah, I think it's because Jackson is like the free safety. Like he sees Steven
Mhm.
Adams get beat, and he comes waiting, and he's coming flying at Steph, and then Steph kind of pulls it out
Yeah.
and makes a
It's
pass.
you made a good point where you said that in the beginning they try to get everyone else going instead of just going Steph, Steph, Steph. But I think that and I think you said that you wish they did more like Steph taking shots in the beginning instead of
Yeah,
getting Clay going. I know getting Clay going is important, but you could probably win a bad Clay game. It's harder to win a bad Steph game. So I just think that when you get Steven Adams, like you said, yeah, it's easier for Steph to get around him, but Jaren Jackson will cheat over, Dylan Brooks will cheat over. Why doesn't he just cook step back three? He did 2 of those this game, and it looked awesome. Like he could do it. I don't know. I don't know why he's not.
I would love to see it. And you mentioned that they didn't make any adjustments from the previous game. So much so that Jonathan Kuminga started the game again, and it definitely seemed like an opportunity for Poole or Otto. I would have preferred Otto, but
Mhm.
uh, they're mentioning on the broadcast that the Warriors are trying to keep his minutes down. So starting him rather than finishing with him, may not be the best thing. And then I guess he hurt his foot. I'm going to keep an eye on Twitter while we do this show to see if there's anything about the foot problem. So, it's yeah, I would have loved to see something a little different that showed like, okay, like they understand that the beginning of this game is actually very important. And they didn't. They just ran it out the same way. And they started out slow, which usually leads with a flat jumper and a fast break on the other end. And the Grizzlies were playing fast immediately, and the Warriors were just like, eh. And they just did that the whole game. Eh, eh. And that lack of urgency, once they got down big, because I think it was near the first quarter, it was actually down, it was 28-25, I think. They got it down. They were only down three. Steph throws a lazy pass that gets picked off. He tried to throw it to a cutting Clay. High risk pass, low reward. Then it was like three on the other end. Then Steph comes down, misses a three. They get the rebound. They scored again. Steph comes down again, misses another shot, and then they scored again. And by then, you're already down double digits or whatever. So yeah, pretty frustrating. But I hope that I, I I would imagine, especially with Ja out, they're favored to win this game, game 6. But I think what this game did show is, the things that they do to cover up their flaws are just not going to work all the time, and their flaws can be pretty bad against good teams, which is kind of what we've been saying because we've been saying that Phoenix, Phoenix goes on. They're very talented. Warriors going to have their hands full. But you look at Milwaukee and Boston, and maybe I could be talked into Miami. Those teams, they make you pay for the amount of mistakes that the Warriors do. Draymond, I was like, dude, this guy's thinking about his podcast or something. Now that's probably a little insensitive because the guy is probably the guy's still heartbroken from his friend passing away, and he had the on his shoes, but he's there to play basketball, and we can say that he played poorly. I think he would agree that he played poorly, and I just he's kind of the key to this, the urgency piece. He's the
Mhm.
key to get them unlocked. And I don't know, he didn't really seem too into it either. He was turning the ball over left and right. He was, I think he was actually frustrated a little bit because he wasn't being guarded at all. Like he was given the Tony Allen treatment from the Warriors series against the Grizzlies 7 years ago. Like when they put Bogut on Tony Allen, that really changed the series. Like they were trying, like Jim Jackson was trying to say how Draymond can get so close to the bucket because of how far they sag off of him, and then when he does set that screen, it's closer to the bucket. And I'm like, great, but or he could just shoot an open jumper and make it, and then we get 2 points out of it no matter what. And it's not happening. He doesn't want to shoot it. He's very predictable on offense because what does he want to do? He wants to pass it to a shooter and then immediately go screen for that shooter. That you can plan for that, right? Now he's a good enough player to where a lot of times it does work, but I don't know that I think that was a little bit of an issue for the Warriors tonight.
Yeah, I think that this is something I've been, just recently thinking about, but, all of the playoff teams, they run this, like, 8, 9-man lineup, and out of all the playoff teams that are left, they didn't really go through any big setback injury like the Warriors did this year in the sense of, like, those 8 to 9 guys probably have logged a good amount of minutes playing together all throughout the season, whereas the Warriors, you don't get Clay until just about halfway through the season. Draymond had his back thing, Steph had his, like, ankle foot thing, and I mean, Steph probably, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd guess around 60 something games played out of the 82, maybe less. So, I just feel like the Warriors uh haven't had the luxury of playing and gelling this potential playoff rotation unit all season because it hasn't, some really key pieces have been missing for the whole season. There was never a time until one game against the Wizards where all three of them were back that they really got time to see what it looked like. So this could also just be like them, you know, still trying to figure some of that stuff out, and like how but the thing is, it's hard is because it's Steph, Clay, and Draymond. These are guys
Yeah.
that have been there. These are guys that, they could probably make it work with just about anybody, but there's still a factor in that when you're playing a good team that, I still think that there still needs to be some fine tuning in there. But, there was a couple of games, and cut me off if I start to like bleed into some next topics, because I don't know what they are, but
Well,
there
I
was a
mean,
couple.
I bled into sloppy Draymond, so we can
Oh,
just
okay.
keep going.
Yeah, but there was a couple of games in the beginning when the Warriors were just doing so good that in the garbage time lineups, it would be Poole in there, and he would just be chucking. Like, he would just be trying to like get his. I don't think it's for stats, but it's maybe like to get in game reps
Yeah.
against the third or second unit. And there were game like, because I'm watching because I want Jonathan Kuminga to touch the ball. It's like, Jordan Poole, you played with the starters. Like, do you really need to be chucking up an extra 5 to 10 shots in the last 3 minutes of the game when it's just all the scrubs out there? But tonight it was Kuminga that was doing that, and then I'm like, come on, give it to Moody a little bit. He's streaming the hit right now. Like, I wonder if when Memphis, after game 3, I believe, when they got killed, when they put in Steven Adams for like those 2 minutes, and he didn't even look that good, but they were like, okay, let's put him in this rotation. I wonder if that either happens to Kuminga gets a little more minutes or something. Maybe they liked what they saw, or even I just think Moody helps. And I get it. That's probably where I'm naive in my basketball opinions, because I just like I gravitate towards the younger guys for some reason. But that's where I think that they might not have this playoff rotation completely set in stone yet, because I just think a guy like Moses Moody, who can literally like do what I feel like they need in some of these situations, which is shoot threes and play defense. He's literally a 3-and-D role player like that they could use. Like, why not try it, But that's where I think that's where my basketball.
I think they would say, what they would say is, that's what the regular season was for, right? We tried it in the regular season to see what we had in the playoffs, and for whatever reason, they like, and look, Moody, for half of the season, this guy had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and I think he was doing a lot of thinking. He was doing a lot of like, uh, thinking before reacting, and he missed a lot of open shots too. He's a rookie. He's learning. I think if he would have been able, because I think they really wanted him to be something in this rotation, and for whatever reason, it didn't work. So Mike Brown talked about the loss, and he said, you just got to flush it, kind of like when you're in the bathroom, you grab the switch and go flush sound down the toilet. But then he said, and this is really what we all watched, which is, we know they're a desperate team, their backs are against the wall, we have to match their energy in that regard. And it was almost like, I'm watching this game and I'm like, the Warriors were almost had the attitude of, how dare they play this hard? Like, don't they know who we are? You're not supposed to play that hard against us. And I was just watching it going like, wow, I never really felt that way about this team. Now, those Kevin Durant teams were I mean, they were obnoxious just because they were so talented. But I never felt that they didn't play hard. I felt that sometimes, on offense, things were so easy that they were taking what the defense was giving them sometimes. But never did I really think like, these guys are just like, we don't have to play hard to win this game. I was like, wow, this was like a regular season game to them. And this was game 7 of the NBA Finals to the Grizzlies. And that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, I mean, when Steph and Draymond are like dancing and laughing to the "Whoop That Trick" song, yeah, I mean, I didn't. I'm still not worried about them blowing a 3-1 lead against a jawless Grizzlies. But when I was bringing up that Moody thing and the rotation thing, it's more projecting into the potential future series that is to come. Should I be doing that? I'm not entirely sure, because series isn't over. We're going to a game 6. We're going to Chase Center. If the Memphis Grizzlies somehow whip out a win in Chase Center, it's going to be a really tough game 7 going back to Memphis. So I don't know if I should be like completely still disregarding them, but I still don't see how they lose, especially when I think you're right in that thinking. And then also Steph and Draymond are laughing while getting blown out by 50.
Look, I think they realize that sometimes, and so this was the Tim Kawakami point from last game, which is what got them up for this series was Ja. And when he wasn't there in game 4, it was kind of a letdown for them because they live for that moment. I don't know if you can use that excuse 2 games in a row, though,
No.
knowing that that team tested you in your own place, like they did in game 4. And then in game 5, they just waste you in a way that I've never seen, this current team get wasted. So, I don't know, if we can blame it on that thing, but for whatever reason, it's almost like they need a reason to rev it up, and I just would like to see them rev it up no matter what. Why
Tyus
not?
Jones is the reason now,
Well,
baby.
my God, he's been killing them, and I think I'm partly to blame because I kind of destroyed him in the game, the podcast after game 3. I was like, Jordan's just gonna go kill him. He's gonna go one on one, and Jordan can't do anything against this guy. And so yeah, it's frustrating. But okay, so my last point here. So we talked about Draymond, Jordan Poole. He needs to play through some stuff that he's not playing through. He's hanging his head. He's not getting back on defense. When there's an opportunity to take a charge, he's kind of doing the Olay, let me reach over and pretend that I'm actually trying to do something here. Like that stuff is very transparent when you see it. If you've watched enough basketball, you can see, because there's a moment where I think it was Desmond Bain, uh, one of the guards was on a back cut, or he was I think he was just driving the full length of the court. Gets by Steph. Steven Adams kind of gets in between him and Bielitsa, and so Bielitsa's kind of like on the other side. And so Jordan Poole is coming from the weak side. And if he slides over, he's got a chance to take a charge. Now, it's quite possible it would have been a block because of how close he was to the basket. But instead, he did the fake defense thing where he pretends like he can't get over enough, and then he kind of waves at it to pretend he's blocking a shot. And things are going so fast for these guys. Good defenders are also anticipating things. We know that he's not a good defender, but up until the last game, I never really thought it was an effort thing. And in this game, he was just feeling sorry for himself again. He gets bonked in the face with the basketball, and that hurts. You get hit in the nose, and then your eyes start tearing up, and then you kind of get a headache, and it's just something that is really, it just smarts, and you kind of have to take a deep breath. Does the guy need to sit on the floor
Did he tear his ACL at the same time?
Yeah, 30 seconds. The other one where he gets pushed into that screen with Brandon Clark and falls, shoulder first. And he's calling, take me out. And then they give him the ball. And then he's doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the basketball. I'm like, I thought you were hurt. But that kind of stuff, the other team looks at that stuff. And the only reason I say this is because, if you've played even recreational sports, the one thing that you do is you go and hunt the other person who's like, not tough or doesn't really want to be out there. And that's all they did. They're like, okay, now we're just going to hunt Jordan and we're going to see if he can do anything. Offensively, he was awful. Defensively, he was even worse. Hanging his head, not getting back on defense. He missed a 3, thinks that he gets fouled. So he's got to do the thing where he talks to the ref. They boat race on the other side. His guy scores the bucket, and he doesn't even cross half court. It's like that stuff. When the Warriors are playing well, you can live with that stuff every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're getting beat by 25 points, the thing he needs to do is bust his butt back to make sure he gets back to his guy, because the only way they're going to get back in the game is if they get stops. And that was not him today. So I know
he's not doing that.
I know it sounds like I'm like in the Jordan Poole hater club.
You sound like you're like an old head talking about these tough guys.
Well, but it's like,
it's fair. I agree.
But the other thing is that he's the one who put the bullseye on himself, right? Because he said all year long, I've been asking these guys what it's like to be in the playoffs because I want to know what's different about playoff basketball. Like he has said that it's been written. The players have said that he's been coming up to them. So he wants to be in this moment, and he's the one who's kind of made a big deal about it. So it's going to make us as fans go, oh, now we want to see how Jordan adjusts to the playoffs because he's been preparing for this moment. And he's either, not prepared or not stepping up to the plate or whatever. And he's had some good games, but he's just been so inconsistent, and some of it is an effort thing. And I wish I knew what Andre was thinking right now because he can't play in Game 6 either. So, and if Otto is hurt, then the Warriors are down to 11 guys.
Is it
at
time
home.
to play into the machismo and give him the start, or do you say we can't reward that type of stuff? Kuminga, get in there again and suck it up.
I do think they need to create some urgency for Game 6, and I would start him, but I would. In order for him to start, he's got to make defense a priority because that is how they're going to start well. Is get a bucket, get a stop, get a bucket, get a stop, and that's what Memphis did, and they were out in front very, very early. I know the NBA sometimes is like it's okay if that guy scores on me because then I'm just going to go back and score on him. But again, the playoffs, as we've seen just watching for these years, it's different. It's not like that. The stops are just as important as like a 3-pointer, and that's how you get back into these games as you get stops. And if you're not getting stops like the Warriors were not today, they would have to shoot at a crazy percentage to even stay within 10 of Memphis. And you see what happened. They lost it was almost 50-point loss.
Yeah, thank you for the I'm just going to keep saying his name. Moses Moody led third unit, brought the lead down.
So Moody was a +8. Look at that.
There might be a mention of him in plus minus. There might be a mention of him in plus minus.
Well, Tim, right? Tim likes Moody a lot. But you got to be able to do something now. Damian Lee didn't really get that many minutes with the second unit. Most of his minutes were with the third unit.
He was shooting.
He did make a couple of shots. He made 2 for 2 from 3. But he was, he didn't really help defend that wing very well. I would like to see. Now I'm glad that Wiggins 19 minutes, Draymond 22 minutes, Steph 25, Clay 25, Jordan 20. It was I was glad that they pulled those guys out because there was no coming back from how hot the Grizzlies were.
I agree. I was waiting for them to do it like earlier. I was like, are they going to do it this early? And then
yeah. So it was good that they didn't risk them getting hurt. I'm sure their pride was getting destroyed when Ja's doing the goggles and Jaren Jackson is doing stuff after making shots. But look, they deserve to do all of that stuff. Like they played one of the most amazing offensive games I've seen all year. They shot, it's kind of crazy. And a lot of this was garbage time. And it's like probably DeAnthony Melton and Steven Adams are the only, no, actually Zaire as well. But almost everybody on their team shot 50% or better from the field. But when you play that well and the other team's not doing anything to stop you, why? Like what stops you from continuing to play that way? It's not like and the Warriors don't really have any bruisers. They don't have a David Lee or a Jermaine O'Neal on this team. You can't afford for Draymond to be that guy because he gets a tech or something, then that really hurts. And they have young Jonathan Kuminga who's like he's not gonna shove somebody or set a hard pick and stare him down and do a message in any way. Whereas they're essentially a bunch of really good players, but not mean guy bruisers. There's no Morris brother on this team. That would have been funny if Bielitsa started. I thought Bielitsa was going to do something because Desmond Bane was like flailing on something.
It was Dylan Brooks.
Oh, was it Dylan Brooks? And he's like
Yeah.
falling back, and Bielitsa kind of pushes him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I kind of like that because yeah, and Dylan Brooks was, he was getting his because he's had horrendous, last five days or whatever. He played really well today too. But they don't have that guy. They don't have that game changer who's gonna say, okay, no, that doesn't happen here. It could be Looney, but Looney's too nice of a guy, man. He's not gonna thump somebody just for the sake of thumping somebody. I guess JTA could have that mentality, but he doesn't get to play enough, so it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah. I think the problem with Dylan Brooks is that he thinks he's like Anthony Edwards or it's like just some top player, because I feel like there's a lot of plays where it could be like a big momentum push for the Grizzlies, and like if Steph is at the top of the key and he hits it, we go crazy. And Dylan Brooks, like, I think he understands that, like, okay, this could be a momentum push, but it shouldn't be him taking a shot. And then he takes a shot, brick off the front rim, and then it just like kills him.
I don't mind that. I actually like him shooting because it just in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, he's going to be overconfident in shooting when the game is on the line, and then he's going to miss.
No, I'm saying I'm stepping into the mind of like a Grizzlies fan. I'm saying that I think he understands what could be momentum pushers, what gets the crowd going, what could put them on a run, but he shouldn't be the guy that like takes the shot. I think yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And as a Warrior fan, I don't mind it because I like the over aggressiveness because I'd rather him shoot than Jackson,
Totally.
Jones, Bane. I'd rather have him shoot that shot. All right, so we kind of did the Kuminga watch. Maybe we'll say we gotta
no Kuminga watch. I don't have it in me.
We'll save the Kuminga watch for next week because we're going to will him to even though he was he was a great garbage time player.
17 points, baby.
17.
We can't talk his stats. That's basically Kuminga watch. Has Desmond Bane been hurt this whole time or not? Because he was awesome tonight.
He was great. I don't know what the Grizzlies medical staff. Kudos to them because he's good. He's been good.
Did you see the Taylor Jenkins double down?
Oh yeah.
The medical staff told me, so I ran with it.
Yeah,
something like
okay.
that. Great medical staff.
Look, he can feel that way.
I am against Warrior fans in the sense that like they think he's like just the number one villain out on the planet right now. I think Taylor Jenkins is great. He's a good coach, and I think if there's a guy who's just willing to die on a hill, just trying to like protect his team or like trying to be his team's number one fan, by all means, man.
I have a take on Warriors Twitter, and I think they're wilding out a little bit more than usual because they're just a little bit worried that this team isn't as good as we hope that they are. And so
it's the worst team out of the runs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By
100%. By far. But the Warriors fans are known to be the cocky fans, and we're even if we lose, a game 7 in Cleveland, we're running it back because we're picking up KD. Like that's what the Warriors fans are known as. But I think part of the a lot of dumb fans too, because the Warriors fans from 10 years ago, there weren't as many of them as there are now. But yeah, I think they're just a little kind of in like, we're not as good. So, we're acting crazy because we get a couple wins here. But I think deep down, I think they're really worried that the team is not as good as they had hoped.
Okay, before I say something really quick, let's just do this really quickly. But before I say something, because, by the off chance that one of those In Your Feelings Warriors fans is listening and they clip what I'm about to say, who would you rank? Where would you rank this Warriors team in the West right now out of the 4 teams?
They're second, I think.
I got them third.
Behind Dallas?
Behind Dallas. I think these two past games have to me, I think that Dallas wouldn't take those. They would have eaten the Warriors up on both of those games.
Oh, didn't Dallas get boat raced yesterday too?
They did. I did watch that game. But I mean, I think the Phoenix defense presents a bigger threat than the Warriors defense without Gary Payton, though. I don't think the Warriors the Warriors would beat them by offense, not by.
Yeah, and the Warriors don't face up well against Dallas either. They struggle against Dallas. I still think they're a better team because I think they understand a little bit more how to win. And that this is why that they're better than the Grizzlies too. Even the Grizzlies, maybe talent for talent on that roster, if you go, 1 through 12,
Mm-hmm.
the Grizzlies roster may be more talented, but the just having Steph and Dre, Clay's hurting that one though.
Yeah.
Clay's hurting the triumvirate there because he's not playing well. But you have Steph and Dre, you got to go through them. And if Phoenix, I think Phoenix wants the Warriors because they can cement who they are by beating the Warriors. They're not going to cement who they are by beating a Ja Morantless Grizzlies team.
Mm-hmm.
They can really say, okay, we are the team in the West because we took out the former team in the West. And I think it'll be a good series, but I do think, unless somebody gets hurt, which is kind of what we've been talking about, which is the length of this thing is also not great for a Crowder, a CP3, Booker's hamstring.
No, those are all good points.
There could be a lot of stuff to happen still because of how crazy the series is. And, they got to go back to Dallas. They got to win one, or they got to win there or come back one more. And I don't know, CP's struggling these last few games. So I would imagine they would want to close it out, but the Warriors were supposed to have wanted to close it out today too. And they didn't. So,
I think I think 36 minutes is overkill for a game that people probably half the people listening to this probably watched less than 36 minutes of the actual game.
All right, let's end it, but quickly. Any thoughts on because we talked about I had said that I was like, I kind of think Philly's going to come back and win this series, but it's been home team wins every game in that series, which is what I thought was going to happen in the Dallas series as well, which is kind of what happened. But
that was my point early. I was like, what's the record on this second round home team? Because it's gonna be that. What did I say? Miami Heat, that series, whoever wins game 5 is gonna win the series. Well, now Miami Heat won it. They get game 7 at home. I think they win the series.
Probably. And I think Embiid might be mad. He lost the MVP.
So maybe he gets a good game 6. But
did you see him? He went off on Bill Simmons for the F. Jalen Green thing too.
Embiid did?
Yeah, I think so. I think I saw something about that.
I didn't see that. I feel like I've been seeing those.
Unless I was duped on Twitter with a fake story. I hope not. But so the so the other series is obviously Boston and Milwaukee. So I'm watching the fourth quarter, and there's about 4 minutes left. Boston's up 4. I think Giannis got called for an offensive foul or something. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go quickly eat dinner, get back for this Warriors game. I think Boston's got this. And I come back, and Drew Holiday's like standing on the table or something, like raising his hands. I was like, what happened? What happened in this thing? And you said that you thought Marcus Smart kind of screwed up.
Yeah, it was like back to back Marcus Smart butt cheeks plays.
Oh,
where
man.
Yeah, it was a tough one on him. But Giannis gets fouled, so he has okay. Tatum gets fouled on a play that I think they could have let keep going because crunch time, they sometimes call it differently. If it doesn't totally affect the shot, they might not call the foul. Tatum gets fouled on a shot that I didn't think totally affected the actual shot. So I think they should have let it play, but they didn't. Tatum shoots 2 free throws. Giannis goes down, kind of gets the same ticky-tacky-ish. They call it because they called it on Tatum. They had to call it on Giannis. Yeah. Giannis has to make 2 free throws. I don't think anyone in the building thought he would. He makes the first one, misses the second one. Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart mess up on like trying to box out, and they drop the ball between each other. Bobby Portis gets it. Travel no call, but he just puts it back up, hits the shot. Marcus Smart, on the other hand, gets blocked by Drew Holiday after like trying to force something. Comes back to the other side. Oh, God, who hit the shot? I forgot who hit a shot. Someone did something. But for the last play, Marcus Smart is driving down the court. I think he starts losing the ball a little bit, then also sees someone coming to him and just kind of like overthinks it while Tatum's on the right side of the court, wide open, because I think Wesley Matthews just tripped and Tatum was just wide open. But Marcus Smart is like almost like looking down at the ground while he's dribbling because he's trying to like recover. Maybe lost it a little bit. Guys coming, turnover. Could have been a
Wow.
foul, turnover. That's how it ends. But you said that like Marcus Smart has kind of like completely reinvented himself as this player, and it's right. But like he's still kind of like Marcus Smart a little bit of like a come on, man. What were you thinking? Like
it's Dylan Brooks, man.
Offensively, yeah.
Him and Dylan Brooks got
A little
that
bit of like
mentality.
Patrick Beverly in that one right there.
Patrick Beverly step back fadeaway 3.
It's like, come on, man.
It's like you barely hit the rim, dude. All right, so we think Phoenix and Dallas probably
I think
playing
Dallas wins.
Yeah, probably playing the home team wins game. Philly and Miami probably similarly. I mean, well, the Warriors better close out at home because they go back to Memphis and they're a little beat up. That's going to be a rough one. Now, can Memphis? The pressure on them to win that game will be high, but they're athletic and they're long and they're talented and they play good basketball. So I actually think the Warriors, even with their veteranness, going back to Memphis, just the thought of those three dudes again possibly losing a 3-1, that would be a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but make your prediction. Boston, Milwaukee. Does Milwaukee wrap it up at home?
No, I don't. Oh,
You think
well,
Boston wins in
home
Milwaukee to
game.
take it back?
So we'll see the Robert Williams injury status if he's going to be out another game. I just can't see the Celtics losing. I can see them losing the series. I just feel like them losing in 6 just doesn't feel right for some reason. These have all been pretty close games to end it. There hasn't. I think the Celtics could get one in Milwaukee. And then for Philadelphia, Miami, I said it. Whoever wins game 5 is winning the series. Miami Heat won game 5. Sixers could still get one, but Miami Heat will close the series in Miami for game 7 if there needs to be one. Dallas versus Phoenix, I think that Dallas can get game 6. It's been the home team advantage, but I know that I just went against my word and said that Boston will win in Milwaukee. I think the Suns will probably win it, though. I just think that there's this like little Luka Devin Booker rivalry brewing, and it's pretty entertaining, like this little new age rivalry. They haven't gotten to play each other in the playoffs because either Phoenix was bad or that the Dallas Mavericks would always just match up with the Clippers. But this has been a cool little battle between 2 young, great emerging stars.
Devin Booker 3rd place in the MVP race.
That's yeah. I don't know about that one. To me, that felt like last year's Utah Jazz was a 1 seed, and Donovan Mitchell had the same stats as Devin Booker. Where was the Donovan Mitchell love last year? Like, it's just like there was no like super standout player, and I might get hate for that, but I don't think Devin Booker. He stuck out like a sore thumb on that list because under him is like Luka and Tatum, and like I think Ja was maybe. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna go on a limb. I think Milwaukee closes the show. I thought this was a must-win game for Boston. They did not, it's tough to play the champions like that. Did you see everyone sending cousin Sal pictures of Bill Simmons in the crowd?
Did he get on the camera? I didn't see him.
Well, he was sideline, like maybe 3 rows back, like almost mid court. And so for all those good photos, with the great cameras, you can zoom in and you can see him. And so somebody took the photo and said, they put the circle around Bill and asked cousin Sal, who's this? And cousin Sal retweeted it and said, Johnny Depp. So I thought that was funny. But okay, so I am calling Milwaukee to win, but I also said the Warriors are going to wrap it up this week. So my predictions are this tonight. So my predictions are a little off. All right. So follow you and your podcast at the BAM Pods. The football one had a Saints writer or something on there?
No, it wasn't a writer. It's actually my friend's younger brother who started this Saints fan page when he was in middle school, and it has 68,000 followers.
Nice.
And so I was like, dang, dude, how'd you get that going? What I do want to say though, before we head out, oh man, where's the tweet? Giants pitcher Logan Webb, he is a Kings fan, and he tweeted, Grizzlies making everything. Must be that Kang's luck rubbing off on Mike Brown.
Oh man.
Because Logan Webb's a Kings fan.
Oh man, that's rough. That is rough. Yeah, he's got a big job for him. That's why he's getting paid the big bucks but I don't know. It's kind of the place where old Warriors coaches go to die. Luke Walton. But all right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. At the BAM Pods on Twitter and at the BAM Pod on Instagram. Did you get any hate for that Warriors in 5?
Not yet. I'm waiting for it though.
All right, we will be back Friday night, I guess, right? Friday night at 7.
Friday night.
They play, and we'll be back hopefully in a much happier place than we were today. But no, we're not sore losers, man. We discussed it. We called our team out. We didn't blame any referees or anything. We didn't blame the other fans. You just take it and you learn from it, and that's the way it goes. All right, so for Bri, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.